the Ukrainian army and civilians are fighting to keep Russian troops from taking the capital city. The U.S. and other countries have sanctioned Vladimir Putin directly for the invasion. The U.S. has also authorized new military funding for Ukraine. For more, I want to bring in CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe, who is traveling with the president in Delaware. Ed, good to see you. So sanctions so far have not seemed to deter President Putin. So why does the White House think that direct sanctions against him will be effective? And are you hearing anything more about additional sanctions or steps that the U.S. intends to take against Russia and Putin?
There are reports today, Lana, good to see you, that European countries are coming around to another round of sanctions that could be implemented in the coming hours or days in coordination with the United States. What exactly they are isn't yet entirely clear, but clearly more will be done to put the squeeze on Russia and Vladimir Putin specifically. You talk to experts who have done this kind of work before, and you're right, they do raise skepticism about whether direct sanctions on Vladimir Putin will work. Part of the reason is because so much of his perceived wealth is tied up in offshore accounts held by relatives, friends, and in some cases his lovers. Estimates say it ranges from anywhere from $125 billion up to $200 billion in offshore entities that include estates around the world, homes in places like Morocco, maybe even in Manhattan through his daughters, and then a large yacht and other properties within Russia. So to really go after that vast network would require far more specific, complex financial penalties against him. But by going after him directly, you now put him on a list that includes Syria's Bashar al-Assad, North Korea's Kim Jong-un, and Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro. No matter how you consider that around the world, that's not necessarily a list a world leader wants to be on.
And I think it was described before by a president as the axis of evil. Ed, so Russia is also responding to those new sanctions by threatening to pull out of the last nuclear arms treaty that it had with the U.S., along with cutting diplomatic ties with Western nations and freezing their assets. Has the White House responded to this? And does Russia have leverage that it can use over the West?
Well, certainly when it comes to leverage, it is of an economic nature, and of course, when it comes to energy supply. It supplies much of Germany's oil, for example, Italy, other parts of Eastern Europe, and Turkey, which is a member of NATO. So all of those countries could potentially be held to account by simply turning off the supply, which is not likely to happen, at least in the short term, but is certainly something that weighs on the minds of European leaders as they continue these deliberations and determinations about how far to go in the financial penalties against Russia. As for potential retribution by Russia, it's all been anticipated by the United States. They realize that that is something that could happen. But given that there are other sensitive subjects being discussed in the nuclear realm, especially regarding Iran right now, for example, for Putin to really go and cut ties to that treaty would be an unthinkable, unfathomable step to so many around the world. And it's part of why you're seeing so many world leaders now respond the way they are, because they realize that as a nuclear power, if they're going to invade Ukraine the way he's ordered that, if the threat of invading other NATO countries remains, then what's to say he wouldn't stop and go further? So obviously that is something that weighs on the minds of those that are considering all this and working through it. But for now, no reason to believe that's going to happen.
All right, Ed, thank you.